So welcome back. So now let's try to compute the distribution of P gamma sigma of gamma, this distribution for Rayleigh fading. So for Rayleigh fading, as we know, that the distribution of the fading, that is for any branch, would be an exponential distribution. For example, if you're talking about the branch 1, the distribution would be equals to 1 over gamma 1 bar e to the power minus gamma over gamma 1 bar. So now let's assume that all of these branches are identically distributed. That means, so if branches are identically distributed, they would all have the same mean. That means your gamma 1 bar would be equals to gamma 2 bar would be equals to gamma m bar, and let me call this gamma bar. So that means for any branch whatsoever, your distribution P gamma I of gamma for the ith branch would be equals to 1 over gamma bar e to the power minus gamma over gamma bar. So in that case, let's try to compute the Fourier transform of this branch, and then we would multiply all of those Fourier transform and try to compute what is the inverse Fourier transform, such that we can compute what is the distribution of gamma sigma. So this is an exponential distribution, and we know that it's really straightforward to compute what is the So let me briefly discuss what is the process we are going to follow. So let me call the Fourier transform of P gamma I of gamma. Let me call it phi gamma I of V, and that is nothing but the Fourier transform of the gamma I of gamma. And for an exponential distribution, we know that for example, e to the power minus a t u of t has a Fourier transform of 1 over a plus j omega, if omega is our frequency variable. So in this case, if e to the power minus gamma over gamma bar, so your a is clearly 1 over gamma bar, and that would mean that 1 over gamma bar would come as it is. The Fourier transform would be equals to 1 over a, which is 1 over gamma bar, plus jv. So that is your Fourier transform. And now, in order to compute P gamma sigma of gamma, your P gamma sigma of gamma is nothing but the Fourier inverse of what? Of this product, I equals to 1 to m phi gamma I of V. But phi gamma I of V fortunately is equal for all of these branches. That means what we need to compute is, to compute this, the distribution of the fading of the signal to noise ratio at the combiner output, we need to compute Fourier inverse of 1 over gamma bar whole to the power m times 1 over gamma bar plus jv whole to the power m. This Fourier inverse we need to compute, and let's see how can we compute this Fourier inverse. So we'll make use of the Fourier analysis. We know from the Fourier analysis that e to the power minus a t u of t. Remember, for all of these distributions, we know that gamma is greater than or equal to 0, and that is what this u of t would take care of. This u of t is a unit step function. That means it is equals to 0 for t less than 0, and it is equals to 1 for t greater than or equal to 0. So e to the power minus a t u of t has a Fourier transform of 1 over a plus j omega. So let me write it in this form. So let a is equals to 1 over gamma bar, and let me replace t by gamma, so that we have e to the power minus a gamma for gamma greater than or equals to 0 would have a Fourier transform of 1 over a plus jv, where v is our frequency parameter here that we are using for the PDFs. So now that we know already, and using the properties of the Fourier transform, and that you must have learned in your signals and system course, if you have 1 over a plus jv squared here, it would have a Fourier transform of gamma times e to the power minus a gamma. And moving forward, using the principle of mathematical induction, you can compute what would be the Fourier transform of. So if we have, so the Fourier transform of gamma to the power n minus 1 e to the power minus a gamma would be equals to n minus 1 factorial over a plus jv whole to the power n. So that is pretty much, it looks like very similar to what we want, right? So let me write it again clearly. So we have this Fourier transform pair which says that n minus 1 factorial over a plus jv whole to the power n would have an inverse Fourier transform of gamma to the power n minus 1 e to the power minus a gamma. So that is pretty useful. And remember, what we want to compute is this Fourier transform. So we want to compute what is the Fourier inverse of 1 over gamma bar plus jv to the power n. And this is a scaling factor. This would come as it is. So we, for the moment, let's not worry about that, and that would come as it is. So now let's replace n by m, capital M, and let's replace a by its value 1 over gamma bar. So that would mean that m minus 1 whole factorial over 1 over gamma bar plus jv whole to the power capital M would have an inverse Fourier transform of gamma to the power capital M minus 1 e to the power minus gamma over gamma bar. Right? So that is, that's what we have here. So this capital M minus 1 factorial is a scale factor. So if you want to get rid of this scale factor from here, so you can divide both sides of the Fourier analysis, because Fourier is a linear operation. So you can divide both sides of this operation by M minus 1 factorial. So you can get rid of this from this side because you don't want this on this side. So you can just divide it by, so 1 gamma to the power m minus 1 over m minus 1 factorial e to the power minus gamma over gamma bar would have a Fourier transform of 1 over gamma bar plus jv whole to the power m. So now we are very close to what we want to find out eventually. So what we want to find out eventually is 1 over gamma bar 1 over gamma bar plus jv to the power m. We have the Fourier transform of this. Now this is a scale factor that you can multiply on both sides. So let me put it like this. So we can divide both sides here by 1 over gamma bar to the power m. So 1 over gamma bar to the power m times 1 over gamma bar plus jv whole to the power m. This would have a Fourier transform because we have multiplied this on the right hand side of this Fourier term. So we should multiply this in the inverse Fourier transform domain as well. So 1 over gamma bar to the power m, this would be a scale factor, times gamma to the power m minus 1 over m minus 1 factorial e to the power minus gamma over gamma bar. So this is the inverse Fourier transform of the product of the capital M identically fading Rayleigh fading distribution, which are identically distributed. So let me write it cleanly. So what we have here is what the distribution of the fading P gamma sigma of gamma at the combiner output for Rayleigh fading when all of the branches are identically distributed, and that is equals to gamma to the power m minus 1 times e to the power minus gamma over gamma bar over m minus 1 factorial gamma bar to the power m. So that is what it is you have. So this you can see. So this is a distribution that you have for at the combiner output, and remember this gamma must be greater than or equals to 0. So this distribution is also called, it has another name, it is called the chi-square distribution. So this is called chi-squared distribution, and this is a chi-square distribution with 2m degrees of freedom, with 2m degrees of freedom. And fortunately we know what is the gamma sigma bar for this distribution. This gamma sigma bar is nothing but m times gamma bar. And similarly we also know what is the variance of this distribution, and it is equals to 2 times m times gamma bar. That is your variance of the distribution. So you for Rayleigh fading with branches that are identically distributed, you get what is at the combiner output what is called the chi-square distribution with 2m degrees of freedom. And you can see that it would increase the performance. Already we saw in the terms of the array gain that it increases the received signal to noise ratio, and that is a linear function of the number of branches. So the more the number of branches are, the greater would be the gain. That means if we try to find out what is how the performance would look like, so the performance with MRC would have a much better performance compared to the performance we had with selection combining. So let me draw the. So now what I'm talking about is if you want to compute PS bar now. So your PS bar would be equals to integral from 0 to infinity your PS as a function of gamma, P gamma sigma of gamma d gamma. This is your average symbol error probability using the maximal ratio combining, where P gamma sigma of gamma would be a chi-square distribution. So if you do the simulation for this, by the way, for a specific type of modulation like BPSK, we have a closed form expression for this gamma S bar, but that is only for a specific type of modulation schemes, and that is given in your textbook. So I'm not going to write it down here, but in terms of if you want to look at the comparison here, so if on this axis we have signal to noise ratio, gamma B in dBs. So again, this curve which I'm drawing is again for BPSK and Rayleigh fading, right? And this floor at which we are comparing is 10 to the power minus 3. So let's look at the comparison of the average symbol error probability with different number of branches. When would you get 10 to the power minus 3 signal to noise ratio using MRC? So using MRC with m is equals to 1, meaning you don't have any combining, to achieve a bit error rate of 10 to the power minus 3, you require an average SNR of 25 dBs. So if you move from m is equals to 1 to m is equals to 2, you would have a gain of 10 dBs here. at 15 dBs. In other words, you would have a gain of 10 dBs here, and you would get a average symbol error or bit error probability of 10 to the power minus 3. Then with m is equals to 4, you would get so this is m is equals to 4, and then it would continue, meaning you would not have diminishing returns here. So you would have the performance gains would keep on increasing. That means your bit error rate curve would keep on moving towards left. That is the key difference between the maximal ratio combining and your selection combining, where in selection combining you had diminishing returns with each as you increase your m, that is your number of branches, so the returns you were getting were diminishing with the number of branches. But here with maximal ratio combining, although it is more difficult to implement, it is complex, you need to estimate all the channels of all the branches, and then you have to have a gain that is proportional to the channel, and that would give you a maximal ratio in terms of signal to noise ratio. It maximizes the signal to noise ratio as well, and you get a gain in terms of diversity. You can see, so you can the slope of the bit error rate curve is keep on decreasing, right? So you're getting this much better performance under fading with large number of branches, and for a certain value of m, you would get even better performance than a AWGN channel. So that is what the performance means. How does the performance look like under the maximal ratio combining? Remember, this curve is for BPSK under Rayleigh fading. So on this axis you have average similar probability with maximum ratio combining. So you would get performance gains that would keep on increasing with the maximum ratio combining. But this analysis was rather the computation of PS bar, we haven't gone through that. Even for Rayleigh fading, it gets difficult to compute what is the average symbol error probability. You get a closed form expression only for BPSK. So now we would make use of the approach we used in the last chapter as well, the moment generating function approach, to compute the average symbol error probability with maximal ratio combining. So that is a very interesting topic. What we are doing to do is make use of MJF approach to compute PS bar. So that's our goal is, and that we would do in the next video.